Hi guys, and welcome to my very first tips video on Blackout. Now this is for the beta currently that is ongoing at the moment, and this is from the 14th of September, so if you're watching this months down the line, things could have changed, but hopefully the same sort of principles are within the game. Now first and foremost, I'm going to show you how to drop properly. So many times I'm beating people to different places and getting the loot first, and it makes such an easier start of the game. Now we're going to see that I instantly dropped vertically there, and then I'm currently horizontal after picking up speed. You go about horizontal of maybe about 72, 73 meters a second, and you can carry a big amount of speed into where you want to go. You go horizontal, you're pretty much the first one there. You can see I picked up a big souped out Titan already, and I mean that really helps towards the end of the game. We're going to join back when, we've picked up a kill or two. We haven't had too much of an active game at this point. We're into, the last 30 or so now. And me and Trout do pretty well here actually. We managed to pick up quite a few kills and go on to win the game, and I'm going to try and bring you through some tips as we are going through this, and hopefully you can see some of them in the gameplay. Shooting is not exactly my my strongest trait, so you're going to have to ignore that, but I like to think that I know what I'm talking about when playing the game and how to give yourself the best advantages. The second tip I'm going to give you after the dropping fast one, of course, is picking up every single piece of ammo that you see is really beneficial, because you can carry a certain amount of each ammo, yes, but you can carry every single type of ammo if you need to. There's so many times I go over people's bodies after I killed them, which obviously doesn't happen very often, and they only actually have the ammo for the guns that they have equipped. You might as well just carry every single bit you can, just in case you need to pick up a different gun later on in the game, and anything you pick up means the enemy doesn't have that. So pick up every single piece of ammo, even if you're not running the gun, running the type that you need. It's okay. Just pick everything up that you see, and, as I said, it negates away from the enemy, if anything. Another thing on ammo, actually, which is going to be my third tip. I tend to run two different weapons, of course, like everybody else, but I try to keep it as different ammo types, meaning you can efficiently manage your ammo. If you're running two types at what that 3.56 or whatever the exact numbers are, then you're going to go through that ammo twice as fast. It's easier if you're picking two different weapons with two different ammo types. So, for instance, I quite often run the SOG, which is a 9mm, or the Sniper, which is like a 7.5 or whatever it is. And then in comparison, I usually run a normal assault rifle, like the Vapor, for instance, which is like 3.56. So you've got different types of ammo, meaning you have more of that ammo that you can use, not just one type of ammo. So that is one of my bigger tips, actually. I would say it's a really important thing to try and do, because you do run out of ammo pretty quick. You can only carry a few rounds, and it can only maybe last a big gunfight if you're in a 4v4 especially. So it's an important thing to try and do. Another thing, as we move into tip number 4, a lot of people seem to ignore some utility. So things like grappling hooks and sensor darts are absolutely amazing. Sensor darts, especially for me, can be such a game changer. You can basically get a free UAV in the game. Currently it lasts for 2 minutes, and it can really help you out. You can actually attach it to moving vehicles as well. So if you're in a helicopter and you want to maybe scan around, you can attach it to the helicopter, and anything in your vicinity when you're flying above, it should scan it. And it's the same for quad bikes, it's the same for the trucks as well. You can scan as you're moving, so that's important. Grappling hooks as well are great for repositioning if you need to get yourself out of a sticky situation. They're great for getting up high. Height is a big thing in this game. If you've got the height on somebody, then you can really cause some damage. So grappling hooks and sensor darts, I'm seeing them being left on people quite a lot. I wouldn't do that. Pick them up at every single opportune moment that you can, and they will definitely help you out if you can master how to use them. Next tip I'm going to go on to is supply drops. Now, it's not necessarily a tip, it's just maybe a bit more common sense. Typically when you see the supply drop coming in, and I'm guilty of this as well, I want to run directly towards it, jump on it, and get the stuff as soon as I can. It's probably not a wise decision, because honestly, people will be watching, me included. I think if you follow the social channels that I have, and I'll link them in the description below, you will see the clip from yesterday where I seen a drop, and I was sort of making my way towards it. A full team jumped on it at the same time, and I had a war machine. I'll let you check the clip out to see how that one actually went for them, because it didn't go well. It's the first time I picked up that many kills that quickly in a long time, I will say. But realistically, just be careful in and around supply drops. People are watching. If you can bait people into jumping onto it, it's free kills 9 times out of 10. So make sure you do not jump straight on, as people will just be trying to bait you into it. Next, I'm going to actually talk about utility grenades. Another thing that I see being left on bodies far too often. I mean, your flashes, your concussions, your smokes are all fantastic to use. I mean, of course, concussions can help you in gunfights, as can the flashbangs. Of course, it's the 9-bang as well, so if you hold it and throw it, it offers more powerful flash, of course. And these things can be great in gunfights. They can really help you out, especially a concussion. And I want to talk about the smoke as well. I mean, it's great for cover, and this game is very cover orientated. There's some places, not like this area, there's plenty of trees around, but there's some places where there's not a great deal. That smoke can just give you that extra edge to maybe get out or get into a better position to deal with the enemy, and they're really, really useful to pick up. So if you've got baggy, you've got the space, pick it all up. You know, I would even maybe pie off some of the perks that you would use instead, or maybe get rid of some of the attachments like you can see I'm doing there, and pick up these utility pieces. These items can really, really help you out, and of course the grenades, the molotovs and everything are also fantastic, but I don't really need to explain how to use them. Now I'm actually going to talk about the guns and what I actually believe are the best guns in each of their class. So we're talking SMGs, ARs, the LMG only being one of them, the snipers, and the tactical rifles. I'm not going to talk too much about the zombie guns because for me personally, I don't actually rate them that much. The ray guns are okay, but realistically, I think it's only really good close range. The other weapons aren't really that great either. So I'm going to run through which I think are the best weapons in each class. You can see I'm using the Titan here. That's the only LMG, and it's the best LMG, of course, but this gun on a level is very, very good. It's one of the better guns you can actually use in Blackout. The range is pretty decent. It kicks up a little bit, but it's very, very powerful. You'll see throughout the rest of this video I use it for the majority of the time, and it's a very, very, very strong weapon. Going into the SMGs, the SAUG, or the SOG as everybody is calling it, for me, is easily the best SMG. It has a little bit of range, and it's absolutely melting people up close for me right now. I think you run it on a 9mm bullet as well, so you know you don't have to use your standard rifle buttons like your 3.56s or anything like that, or 3.55s, whatever they are. Don't quote me on the exact numbers, but the SOG is a fantastic weapon, very, very good up close, and is really, really good in the early game especially, but it can still melt through armor pretty well in your mid to late games, so definitely pick this one up if you want to run an SMG. What I would always say is maybe run an AR and a sniper though. These tend to be my favourite guns to go for, or a Titan and a sniper tends to be pretty good. My favourite AR at the minute is the V8PR, or the Vapor, or Vapor, as whatever you want to actually call it. Very, very strong at the moment. Now, this is, of course, about the beta, these tips, so this might have been nerfed. These things could have changed around these weapons, and I know that Treyarch are currently looking at the Vapor, whatever you want to call it, right now, and they may be nerfing that, so keep an eye out for that just in case things have changed. But realistically, I don't think you can go wrong with the ARs as long as you have some attachments. I think on a standard, the Maddox is good, the ICR is good, the Rampart is good if you can get attachments for it, but I wouldn't really rush to pick it up over like an ICR or a Maddox, that sort of thing. As you can see, this is how powerful the Titan is. I mean, it literally drops these people so fast. I think he might have had level 2 armor on there, that second one. This guy on the right hand side gets pinched in nicely by Trout as we start racking up some kills here. But yeah, the ARs, I would say the Vapor is definitely my favourite. Snipers, now this is a toss-up, to be honest with you. I think the Paladin is fantastic. I think that Paladin might just take it for me. The Koshka itself is pretty good too, but the Paladin has more opportunity to drop people faster. You know, it's a little bit stronger and can drop people fairly quickly. The Koshka is a little bit more accurate, but I think it's just preference on this one. Personally, I would go with the Paladin. When you get some attachments on it, of course, the sniper scope being the primary one you want to try and get, it can really cause some problems for people. You can really pin them down with it, and it's a very, very good weapon. The tactical rifles, now you've got the Swordfish and the ABR, but most importantly, probably what I would call the best gun on the game, the Auger DMR. That thing is insane close range. You can really pop bullets into people quite quickly, and at long range it deals devastating damage, especially most of the time you find it fully kitted out with all the attachments to these yellow or gold guns that you come across. Auger tends to be only found in that scenario. I found it maybe once or twice without any attachments and it's just its default scope. I would say that's definitely the best tactical AR you can find. Probably the best gun on the game at the moment if it's in good hands anyway. You know, as said, it's good up close because you can really aim down sights fast. It's pretty accurate at long range. It's just an all-around fantastic gun. If you see it, pick that baby up every single time. I'm not really going to touch on shotguns and pistols because realistically they're good at the early game, but that's pretty much it. I really like the Magnum up close. I completely forget the name of the actual name of it, but the Magnum up close at the beginning of the game is really, really good, as are the shotguns, of course. Next, I'm going to go into attachments, and I want to talk about sights more than anything. I think the red dot and the ELO are obviously your reliable ones that everyone's used to using, and you played with them all the time, especially if you know what you're doing in Call of Duty. But I don't think it's a bad idea to sometimes pick up the 2x or the 3x sights, especially on an AR with decent range, such as your tactical ARs. Because this game, there's range in it that we've never really had in Call of Duty. Outside of our normal maps, we haven't really had this sort of range. Of course, in Blackout, it's a huge map. You can see players from miles away. The 2x maybe lets you see people a little bit easier at times, and you can get these shots down fairly easily with them as well. They usually have the indicators to show you how far they are, where you should be aiming, sort of thing. And honestly, they've actually come up clutch for me a few times, and we can see me actually put the smoke down to try and get the drop there. That's what I would say. If there isn't many people left and you want to jump on it, throw that utility down. A couple of tips coming into one there on your screens anyway, but as I said, 2x sights, do not completely dismiss them. They can be pretty good in certain situations, but it is all situational, of course. Another one is storm and gas management, whatever you want to call it. Typically something I try to do, and we'll sort of see it maybe towards the end of the game here, where I try to run on the outside of the storm, or gas, whatever you want to call it, as much as I can towards the end of the game. Eliminating the fact that somebody isn't behind you is a big thing. It means you don't have to watch one direction. If you're following the edge of the storm and try to get yourself some height at the same time as following the edge, you know that pretty much somebody's not going to be behind you unless they're in the gas, which you'd be unlucky, and it'd be strange if they were playing that way. Then you can get unfortunate in that sense, but realistically, if you follow the edge of the circle where it's closing in, you can get yourself into a fantastic position to win games. And it just eliminates a position where you can be shot from, essentially. You can just have to watch in front of you and to your left and right, not directly behind you. And I mean, my last tip, number 10, I would say, you know, if you're struggling, as I do often, as you can tell from some of these shots, just try and land in places where it's very busy. So what your firing ranges, or places where you're dropping instantly over straight away. Fracking's pretty busy majority of the time. I mean, there's loads of different places that are obviously very busy, but construction site, firing range, fracking, asylum, they all tend to be very busy towards the beginning of the game. Train station as well. And just try and get better at shooting people, at getting people down, at looting, trying to be fast. There's only one way you're going to get better, and is by practicing in high pressure situations. By sitting in a corner and not really, you know, trying your best to get kills, it's not gonna get any easier, and you're just gonna be stuck at that level constantly. So for me, trying to move around and yeah, okay, maybe it's not as much fun, you know, you're getting taken down straight away. But if you land at busy areas, get better at shooting, get better at looting, and moving around the map, it's going to help you in your game so much. You're about to see me and Trout pick up the win here in our first duos game together, actually. I think it might have been our second, but we actually went back to back and we got a win after this as well. But big plays out of me and the other CT, Chris Trout, who obviously used to be a caster and a good friend of mine, but we eventually closed this one out. But I hope you guys enjoyed the tips. I hope you maybe take some on board. Maybe you don't, because you see how terrible I actually am. But realistically, I'm just trying to help you guys out if you are struggling with Call of Duty Blackout. As said, absolutely loving this game at the moment. We're about to close out the win. Guys, could you subscribe? That would be fantastic. If you could like the video as well, that would really help me with the channel here at EGL. But we will see you for the next Blackout video very shortly.
Mission area secure.
Juicy little one, that.